Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. These pictures of 180 nationalities participating in the International Yoga Day celebrations at the United Nations headquarters in New York are a testimony to the global acceptance of an Indic practice for holistic well-being. The event was aptly led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, himself a practitioner and the man who took it to the United Nations in 2014 to declare June 21st as the International Day of Yoga and bearer of the larger message of unity and peace that yoga is rooted in. The Prime Minister, who has made Vasudev Kutumbakam, which means the world is one family, an important pillar of India's foreign policy, summed up the relevance of the wisdom of ancient Indian practice in a world divided by selfish interests and desperately in search of a unifier in the post-coronavirus era. Listen in to Prime Minister Modi.
It is a very old tradition. But like all ancient Indian traditions, it is also living and dynamic. Yoga is free from copyright, free from patents, and free from royalty payments. Yoga is adaptable to your age, gender, and fitness level. Let us use the power of yoga not only to be healthy, happy, but also to be kind to ourselves and to each others. Let us use the power of yoga to build bridges of friendship, a peaceful world, and a cleaner, greener, and sustainable future.
It was India's soft power at display on the global stage, with Prime Minister Modi emerging as its face. The world acknowledges that yoga has become a global spirit for global good. Listen in to the voices from across the world.
Yoga offers a haven of calm. It can reduce anxiety and promote mental well-being. It helps us to develop discipline and patience. It connects us to our planet, which so badly needs our protection. And it reveals our common humanity, helping us to understand that despite our differences, we are one. On this International Day of Yoga, let us embrace the spirit of unity and resolve to build a better, more harmonious world for people, planet, and ourselves.
Well, it's so important for us to move from just practicers to executors. We practice yoga, but we execute what we get from yoga in our lives. And that is the message I believe the Prime Minister is bringing.
If that wasn't a big statement, earlier in the day, Modi's leadership got endorsement from entrepreneur and global thought leader Elon Musk, who happens to be the new owner of social media giant Twitter as well. Musk said that he was a Modi fan and Modi cared about India. Listen in to Elon Musk, who had a fanboy moment in his first meeting with Prime Minister Modi after taking over Twitter.
I'm actually incredibly excited about the future of India. I think India has more promise than any large country in the world. He really cares about India because he's pushing us to make significant investments in India, which is something that we intend to do. It was a fantastic meeting with the Prime Minister, and I like him quite a lot. I am a fan of Modi. So.
Not just that. A few hours before this meeting, Prime Minister Modi's government had condemned China's move to shield 26/11 terror attack mastermind and LAT operative Sajid Mir. Without mincing words, India questioned China's commitment to fight terrorism, a message that China and the world cannot ignore as Modi and Biden put up a show of convergence of democracy, antidote to authoritarian regimes. But the opposition, of course, caught none of these messages and seems to have completely ignored the epoch-making impact of the developments. It has instead chosen to mock Prime Minister taking global center stage on Yoga Day with a set of memes. Some in Congress are busy pointing out that India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, was instrumental in popularizing yoga. Some others have called it event management, prompting us to ask the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. Why is the Prime Minister's message of unity divisive for the opposition? That's the question, and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining the debate tonight, Dr. Ajay Alok, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, Dushyant Sridhar, Vedic scholar, Suhail Seth, columnist, Ameek Jamai, National Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, Professor Atikur Rahman, political analyst. But my first question goes to Dr. Sanjay Jha, author and suspended Congress leader. Dr. Sanjay Jha, many things happening in New York today, including the fact that 180 nations came together to spread the message of peace through the International Yoga Day celebrations. And the Congress has only a meme to offer, a meme that really wouldn't put too much of a premium on the manner and the thoughtfulness of the Congress party on how seriously it takes India's soft power. Calling the Prime Minister names, Maun Asan, Camera Asan. I mean, is everything a joke? Is the Congress serious about nothing at all in the world?
Navika, I think this is a very serious discussion, and I don't think we should dismiss the Congress's jibes at the Prime Minister as some kind of a frivolous political slugfest. Let me put the discussion in context. Number one, isn't it absurd, if not altogether atrocious, that India's great Prime Minister, this is a great country, so anybody who's the Prime Minister has earned some rights, doesn't find a voice to speak in India, but suddenly discovers his muscular, macho self when he goes to Washington and the United States. Mr. Modi and the BJP are talking about the world being one family. I want to ask them through your very popular show, Navika, aren't the people of Manipur part of that great world family? In fact, they're Indians. And Mr. Modi has got this extraordinary ability to be conspicuous and silent at a time when there are people grieving in a country and he doesn't have a word to say, not a word of sympathy. Forget making a visit to Manipur, which I think any Prime Minister other than Mr. Modi would have made not just once but several times by now. I think this is the ultimate form of hypocrisy. I've said it on your show and I'll say it again. Modi ji Rajneta nahi, Abhineta hai. And I'll give you the second example. Here is, a fanboy moment with Elon Musk. Listen, every political leader has a right to market himself, and I have no problem with Mr. Modi doing all his marketing razzmatazz and all the gimmicks that he does. He is free to do that. That's a fundamental right. But here is the truth. Elon Musk himself went on record, and this was just 2 months ago, to say that it is very difficult to actually practice freedom of speech in India. And he said, I don't want my Twitter employees, in fact, to be compromised and hurt. This was the same Elon Musk talking about the government of Mr. Modi and democracy and freedom and his current very, very apparent authoritarian manifestations. But I do believe this is a nice PR gimmick being done by the BJP. You know why, Navika?
Everything
because
is a PR gimmick. Everything, according to you, is a PR gimmick. Let's look at what
Jack Dorsey said. The former CEO
with that debate, debate coming up on the other side, and we'll debate this. I'm okay. Here to debate that. But I want to ask you, Camera Asan, Jumla Asan, Mitra Asan, this actually is supposed to convey your worry about Manipur? Really? Dr. Sanjay Jha? Well, those are fresh pictures coming, Prime Minister landing in Washington after leaving from New York, rather. These are visuals of the Prime Minister leaving from New York and proceeding to Washington, D.C., where he will now go towards the official part of the state invitation to him, the state dinner and the bilateral meetings that are organized. Of course, there are several other events, meeting with CEOs, big entrepreneurs, also the Indian diaspora, all of those coming up in the Washington leg of the Prime Minister's visit to United States. This is the visual of the Prime Minister leaving New York after the International Yoga Day celebrations. So let me cut across straight to Ajay Alok. Ajay Alok, according to Dr. Sanjay Jha, those concerns picked up by the Congress party explain their concern for Manipur, whether it is the Kamrasan meme or the Maun Asan meme, all of that conveys the worry for Manipur. Please respond to him.
Well, first of all, I would like to say that Mr. Sanjay, my friend, Sanjay has deliberately not spoken the truth, or is speaking the lie when he speaks about Elon Musk. Because Elon Musk very rightly said that I have to run a company and I have to run the company in any country according to its law. And Twitter was not following its law, which is obnoxious. And that's why he removed the CEO, the Congress dear friend. You were knowing it, but you didn't speak it, or you deliberately said the lie. Anyway, that's your problem. You deal with it. Number two.
You're bluffing, Ajay. You're bluffing.
The Manipur, the Congress still independent from now. Congress has ruled Manipur for more than 60 years. More than 60 years. Manipur, what's happening in Manipur is troublesome for the government, and government is doing every possible steps to take control. And systems and things are getting in control and shape. But please tell me about the principal opposition party, Congress responsibility. How many Congress leaders have turned up in Manipur? Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, Kharge ji, 1, 2, 3. Sonia Gandhi for that matter. Okay, let's talk about Northeast in charge. Anyone of them have visited Manipur? No. So please don't try and play dirty politics on the street. Number 3. It was a yoga day, and Congress named it by multiple sessions. Like, what is it? Camera session, and Ghutna Asan, then Jumla Asan, all these asans. I was really wondering, being a good student of Hindi, I was really wondering, why after when they were naming so many sessions, why didn't they remember Marna Asan, which Congress is there? Marna Asan, आपको तो पता होगा संजय जी, आप बिहार से हैं. मरनासन में कांग्रेस है, वो आसन याद नहीं आया, बाकी सब आसन याद आ गए. बहुत अच्छे. Today is 21st June. You say Narendra Modi a hardliner, a right winger, whatever. You like me, I mean to say Congress people, leftists, liberalists, centralists, whatever you name them. But basically they are Modi haters. Okay, you call him as a right wing leader. And you said that Nehru ji promoted yoga. Well, what it took Congress party and Nehru Gandhi family and Congress party's other prime minister till 2014 to get a resolution passed in UN to make it as a yoga day. So, by promoting yoga worldwide and by letting the 177 countries in 2014 only to endorse it as their proposal, that means that the cultural nationalism of India has been propagated by none other than Mr. Narendra Modi, and you are jealous to it. And if you're jealous to it, the country can't help you. And in the art of jealousy, you keep on doing so many things which actually suits us, like all these asans, Jumla Asan, Camera Asan, Ghutna Asan, whatever you name them. It actually suits us. Please continue your slugfest, what you say. It's not a slugfest.
Sanjay Jha, you want to respond. You want to respond, and many are putting out the charge that it could also be Irshyasan, which is Irsha in Hindi means jealousy. So is it the Congress's Irshyasan which is coming to the fore tonight?
Yeah. Navika, two short responses to my friend Ajay. I like him, despite the fact that he's in the opposite side of the fence. Number one, Ajay Alok has basically made a public confession on Times Now today that this government is so incompetent, inefficient, and ineffective. Now the opposition should run Manipur. Wonderful. You know, this is the candidness which the BJP needs, and I'm glad Ajay has joined the BJP.
About your sensitiveness.
Let me finish, Ajay. I didn't interrupt you. The truth is, here is the Prime Minister of India, and here is Manipur burning weeks later. Mr. Modi, by the way, Ajay, you know it, was campaigning in Karnataka along with Amit Shah. We all know that. It's about time we called our politicians out, whichever political party they belong to. Mr. Modi, I oppose him, but he's my prime minister. And I believe that any prime minister who abdicates his responsibility to his people in their hour of need, in their hour of crisis, and basically chooses Maun Vrat, is basically telling you that he's incapable of running the situation. That's a hard, stark reality. My second point, and that is important, please know that beyond the standard trope that any visiting leader gets in any part of the world, by the way, the US State Department, Ajay Alok, has passed for the 6th year in a row a report on the religious freedom in India, which talks about the hate speeches BJP leaders do. And Anthony Blinken, by the way, has commented on it publicly, not once but several times. You have a lot to worry about India's reputation, my friend. Yes, yoga is great. We are all proud of it. But for God's sake, you have to bite the bullet.
Okay, that's a great confession coming from Dr. Sanjay Jha. He says we are all proud of yoga. He just forgot to put that in an official tweet from the Congress handle, Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Is that a lapse, or is the tweet that went out the real story of the Congress party? They can see nothing positive, which is also a state of mind. But when they talk about Manipur, they forget Bengal. When they look at Bengal, they don't comment on the fact that Mamata Banerjee and her government actually approached the Supreme Court to stop central forces from going to Bengal. But of course, they have to meet for chai, coffee, 2 days from now. So that doesn't bother them. Only Manipur bothers them. Is this absolutely opportunistic politics that the Congress is doing?
Good evening, Navika, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Look, I think let's be very clear about this. Modi hatred has transmogrified for the opposition into hatred for India and hatred for Hindu civilization. As simple as that. They promoted open defecation because they hated Modi's Swachh Bharat. They promoted obesity because they hated Modi's Fit India. They promoted oppressive dress code because they hated Modi's government school uniform guideline. Let's hope Modi doesn't start promoting pranayam. ये लोग तो सांस लेना बंद कर देंगे. And as for Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru being the first one to promote yoga, sure. But it isn't clear what yogasanas he taught to the Mountbattens. But Pamela is on record to say she witnessed him doing and teaching them yogasan. The more the merrier. But why bring in Nehru just because you hate Modi promoting yoga? As I said, this is Modi derangement syndrome. Why be against yoga just because Modi is promoting it? Even if they are reluctantly agreeing to do yoga, they are saying, don't see it as something Hindu. In fact, one Congress leader went as far as to say, and I quote, ओम के उच्चारण से ना तो योग ज्यादा शक्तिशाली हो जाएगा और ना अल्लाह कहने से योग की शक्ति कम होगी, unquote. To remove Hinduism from yoga is to remove its essence, Navika. Anyone is free to chant Allah while doing yoga if it helps. But the fact remains that Om is very much part of yoga and augments it. In fact, it is a yogasana in itself, Pranam Yoga. Yoga Sutra, written by Rishi Patanjali in 200 BC, meticulously defines what is yoga. It is Ashtanga Yoga and it is the essence of Hinduism. Two yoga maestros from the contemporary age, B.K. Iyengar and Patabi Oi, are unequivocal in their view that one cannot dissociate yoga from spirituality and Hinduism. It is not merely physical exercises. Yoga, like Hinduism, is a way of life. Don't denigrate it. You can practice any form of yoga and see it as an exercise, nothing else. But don't start propagating the falsehood that what you are practicing is yoga. Tomorrow you will start saying Zumba dance is Bharatnatyam or gangster rap from Patiala is Megh Malhar. Number two, very briefly, I am not for thrusting yoga on anyone. Even though, let us be clear, yoga was compulsory in schools when we were growing up, Navika. Dhirendra Brahmachari was a household name and a close associate of Indira Gandhi. But then, those were the days when democracy was alive and thriving, isn't it? No one trusts anything on anyone else. Unlike the fascist Hindu Rashtra of today. Three, very briefly. Muslim leaders who since yesterday are objecting to yoga being instructed in madrasas are right, and I support them. Their foremost allegiance is to their religion and then to their brotherhood, and therefore, just like they won't sing our national anthem Vande Mataram, a national song Vande Mataram, they won't do yoga because it has Hindu civilizational elements like Om. Those who love India, Navika, and our Hindu civilization never need to be forced to love it. And those who don't, no amount of force will make them love it.
Well, but then, is it right to call it harassment? And Amik Jamai, that's the question. किसी को योगा harassment लगता है, किसी को योगा में jokes नजर आते हैं. I only want to ask you, Amik Jamai, कि प्रधानमंत्री से पहले भी बहुत से प्रधानमंत्री आए थे. प्रधानमंत्री मोदी को 2014 में लगा कि ये इंडिया का सॉफ्ट पावर हो सकता है, योगा बहुत से देशों में प्रैक्टिस होता है, लेट्स रिक्लेम व्हाट इज आवर्स. And he went and asked for a resolution to be passed, and it was passed, and 21st of June became the International Yoga Day across the world. अब इसको भारत का सॉफ्ट पावर ना मान के इस पर कहीं ना कहीं सम्मान इसको जो मिला है उस पर हम प्राउड तो फील नहीं कर रहे, बल्कि उसी को नीचे खींच रहे, मोदी को नीचे खींच रहे. अरे मोदी जी अगर उसको ले गए तो इससे नेहरू जी की तो तौहीन नहीं की ना किसी ने, तो नेहरू का ट्वीट कहां से आ गया? ये किस तरह की सोच है जो कहीं ना कहीं मोदी के साथ स्कोर सेटल करने के लिए भारत को ही नीचे दिखाना चाह रही है?
नविका मैम, भारत अगर आज महान है, भारत अगर आज चाहे हमारा हजारों साल का आयुर्वेद हो या हमारा योग हो, ये हमारी सैकड़ों साल की, हजारों साल की तहजीबों का हिस्सा है. आज नरेंद्र मोदी जी इसका प्रचार कर रहे हैं, बहुत अच्छी बात है. आपने 2014 में इसको अडॉप्ट किया, लेकिन जब नरेंद्र मोदी जी यूएन में बैठकर वसुदेव कुटुंबकम, वर्ल्ड फैमिली की बात करते हैं, तो भारत में लोगों को इस बात का मतलब समझ में नहीं आता है. हम ये कहते हैं कि जब आप भारत के टैक्स पेयर के पैसे से अमेरिका आप गए हो तो आपको यूएस से कुछ सवाल पूछना चाहिए. अमेरिका ने भारत के ऊपर जो टिप्पणियां करी हैं, यूनाइटेड नेशन ने जो ऐसी घंघोर टिप्पणियां करी हैं कि हमें शर्म आती है कि नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार ने 2014 और 23 में ये सुन कैसे लिया. यूनाइटेड नेशन की हर साल रिपोर्ट जारी होती है, आप जानती हैं कि यूएन स्पेशल रिपोर्टर में क्या कहा गया कि दुनिया में सबसे ज्यादा माइनॉरिटीज पे जो एट्रोसिटीज हैं, यूनाइटेड नेशन कहता है नरेंद्र मोदी के भारत में. यूनाइटेड नेशन कहता है कि दुनिया में सबसे अनसेफ महिलाएं, वायलेंस अगेंस्ट वुमेन दुनिया में कहीं है तो नरेंद्र मोदी के भारत में है. यह हमें तकलीफ होती है कि यूनाइटेड नेशन इस तरह की बात कैसे कर सकता है. यूनाइटेड नेशन कहता है कि G20 पे आप जम्मू कश्मीर में मीटिंग क्यों कर रहे हो? अरे यूएन के कौन होता है? तो जब प्राइम मिनिस्टर आज वहां पे थे तो भाषण में भारत की भाषा से उनको समझाना चाहिए था, उन्होंने नहीं समझाया. अब आइए अमेरिका के ऊपर. अमेरिका में आपको मालूम है कि जो पाकिस्तान में अमेरिका का एम्बेसडर है, वो पाकिस्तान ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर में उनकी सरकार के साथ कोऑपरेशन में उनको लीगलाइज कर रहे हैं, उनको ऑथराइज कर रहे हैं. तो अमेरिका जो धोखा दे रहा है भारत को, हम कश्मीर के मामले में किसी भी थर्ड पार्टी को भारत के लोग कबूल नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन सिर्फ नरेंद्र मोदी की एक जो बतौर कमजोर पर्सनालिटी है, बतौर प्रधानमंत्री, आज यूएस पाकिस्तान में जो बैठा एम्बेसडर है, वो कश्मीर में क्या कर रहे हैं वहां पे, ये भारत के लोग जानना चाहते हैं.
कश्मीर की बड़ी चिंता हो गई. आर्टिकल 370 को आप सपोर्ट करते हैं, और आप क्या कह रहे हैं कि यूएस से दोस्ती ना करें, चाइना से कर लें और पाकिस्तान से कर लें. सुहेल सेठ, I mean, is this foreign policy that India should follow as suggested by Amit Jamai?
नहीं, नरेंद्र मोदी जी फेल्ड हुए हैं.
Mr. Jamai remembers.
ये भारत की बात है नविका मैम.
I don't know if Mr. Jamai remembers. There was a time when his two leaders, one who has sadly passed away, Mulayam Singh ji, and Akhilesh hosted a former US president in Lucknow called William Jefferson Clinton, with a view to promoting Uttar Pradesh as the Uttam Pradesh at that time. Amar Singh had coordinated and facilitated all of that, and Bill Clinton was there. I think this entire debate has been hijacked around yoga, and many asanas are being created. I have only 4 or 5 points, and I will borrow Anand Ranganathan's word briefly, which will never be brief, in my context at least. So I have 4 or 5 points. Number one, is India's position today a dominant one or not? The answer is yes. Narendra Modi is India's Prime Minister. He's not going there as Narendra Damodar Das Modi. He's the representative of 1.4 billion Indians in India, and he's a representative of all those Indians living as part of our diaspora. It's a moment of celebration for India. It is not about giving tarif or, talking about Modi's achievements. Number three, India was lacking in soft power. You're absolutely right. I think Sanjay made the point. Wasn't there yoga before? Of course. There was Ayurveda before. Basmati has always existed, but someone went and patented Texmati in Texas. So, we let go of our IPs, willy-nilly, we let go of all these IPs. Today, we are bringing those IPs back. Number 4, and this is a very important point, Modi and every prime minister, every head of state's primary business is to make their country of origin attractive to investors, attractive as far as the narrative is concerned, and to make sure that people look at India, in this case, in a new light. Manipur is a problem. There is no denying that, and no one should move away from that. But today, when Narendra Modi is in Washington, D.C., or New York, going towards Washington, D.C., is this a moment to show a lack of grace? Do you always want to mock your prime minister? You talk about opening a shop of love, but you have salesmen who are filled with hatred trying to sell products. What kind of shop of love are you talking about? Is this the day to parody your prime minister? Is this the day to make fun of him? Is this the day to say that this man stands for nothing and he's but a stage actor? Because you're playing into the hands of the very people who destroyed the Indian narrative for years, until they have a man today who's willing to take them on. It's no one's argument that Narendra Modi is solely responsible for where we have come today. From Nehru to Modi, everyone has been a contributor to this fantastic journey. If you don't want to deny Nehru his tremendous role in India's independence, why are you so graceless, petty-minded in negating everything that Modi has done for the last 8 years? P. Chidambaram went on record in Parliament when he mocked rural India, saying that people will never accept digitization. That's happened. 370 was a Congress wish list. It happened. The Congress created, and rightly so, they had the vision for Aadhaar. Who implemented it? Narendra Modi. Do we forget? When Manmohan Singh was taking steps towards the Oval Office, there was another gentleman tearing up an ordinance, Rahul Gandhi. Was that not disrespectful? For God's sake, we have a problem in our country for every solution. We have become a nation of haters. And that, to my mind, is the worrying factor. Today is India's moment, not Modi's. Modi happens to be the Sutradhar. He's merely a representative. And he's an elected prime minister. He's not someone who sneaked in through the back door. It's not Narendra Modi's job to go to Khan Market every morning looking for an opposition. And I will only say this and no more. I've been going, as I'm sure Sanjay and many people on the panel, for years to America. Earlier, we were looked down upon. It was as if they were providing us largesse. It was as if we didn't stand up to be counted. That narrative has changed. It's a great tribute not to Modi. It's a tribute to every Indian. It's a tribute to the Indian who has believed and made that belief transformational for India. And I think we need to salute that on this day. We need to talk about our soft power. We need to reclaim that high ground, and we need to stand up and be counted amongst the comedy of nations. Why are we so dismissive about our people's achievements? It's not yours or mine. It's a collective achievement.
Dr. Jha, raising his hand. Dr. Jha, lack of grace?
Just 10 seconds. Can I?
Let me tell you, Navika, I agree with Suhail completely that every prime minister has had a contribution. But I want Suhail to, since he's on the show with me, and I think he's a very articulate and one of the fantastic speakers in our country. Suhail, would you at the same time be honest enough to today condemn with the same passion with which you said that Mr. Modi needs to be given credit, with how the BJP ridicules and disparages Pandit Nehru and many people, Mr. Gandhi, Mr. Mahatma Gandhi as well.
Oh, so
how many people from the BJP do that?
No. So was this hate back time?
He has asked me the question. I must be allowed to answer.
Okay.
I totally, Sanjay. Navika has herself said it many a time on her programs. I'm saying this today for public record. The moment we debase our past, we actually insult ourselves. I totally agree with you, Sanjay, and I've said this over and over again. The debasement of individual contribution to the history of India must never be tolerated. We have made dead leaders fight, but in this, Sanjay, and this is no equality in terms of defense, both sides are guilty. Everyone has used personal attacks to weaponize parties. Please look at the discourse in India's parliament. Hear me out. Please look at the discourse in India's parliament when Pilu Modi and all were around. It was a discourse mired out of grace and respect. There was no Maut Ka Saudagar. There was no Gungi Gudiya. But we have come to a stage where all of this is being bandied about, and I totally agree with you, Sanjay. This is not our country, and we will reclaim it. And I have to say this, without giving anyone undue credit, Modi did rein in some people the last time, and he needs to continue to rein them in.
Well, so let me get in. Let me get in, Atiq Ahmed. I want to ask you, Professor Atikur Rahman. Atikur Rahman, the question tonight is, why are we losing our grace? Why are we failing to actually celebrate India just because politically we don't want to somehow be seen celebrating Modi, because that is a no-no. Since when have we become so miserly about great days of feeling proud about our country just because the representative there, who's a popularly elected prime minister, voted to power, we just don't agree with him, so we will belittle India instead? You know, is that something that really should be introspected by those who oppose Modi?
That's a very pertinent question of yours, Navika ji. And I was just thinking that if this supreme concept of yoga is, and none other than Murli Manohar Joshi said that the first yogi was Prophet Muhammad, who used to offer 5 times namaz. That's a different story, that Muslims in India are not allowed to offer namaz either on the streets or even in the mosques. The larger question, Navika ji, is if all the Modi bhakts are so very careful.
Let me ask you, who's preventing Muslims from offering namaz in mosques? Play?
In UAE, there is a fine of 100 dirhams or something like that if people are found offering namaz on the road.
They were prevented, in the houses they were prevented, but I haven't completed, Navika ji.
Where is it? I mean, you said in the mosques they were prevented. मॉस्क में कहाँ किया है? अब आप सड़कों पे करना चाहोगे to break the discipline.
Even in private houses, they were prevented.
Please name.
Please allow
evidence. No, without evidence, in whose house has anybody stopped offering of namaz? Please.
Not offered in India. Is he making a national admission that in India no one offers namaz? I mean, it is a ridiculously preposterous comment to make, and these are the comments that create a divisive India.
Sir, I know that
no one on this panel. Sir, 1 minute. I have grown up in Calcutta. Some of my closest friends are Muslims.
Because you are
this
the
is not
most
the argument that you should offer.
You want to prove day in and day out
Navika,
every
I
evening.
object. Suhail
so that you enjoy the
I wish I was, but I'm not.
But
sadly.
is this the way, Navika ji, that you allowed all the Modi bhakts all the time? But you are never. You are claiming that you are.
My friend Atikur Rahman. My friend Atikur Rahman. I'm only asking you, where is the evidence of people being stopped from offering namaz in their homes? Please give evidence. You can't make inflammatory remarks of that kind.
1 month you pick up any national dailies, and you'll get the proof that how the Muslims are being prevented.
So show me the national dailies that you subscribe to. पता नहीं कौन से national dailies आप पढ़ रहे हैं?
Yes, I will be. Within 1 hour, 10 national dailies I will email you, and that will prove.
I'm sorry, you're making this comment live on Newshour. I want you to prove it now, otherwise take the charge back. Can you prove it now?
All the yogi people on earth that listen to the criticism of the yogi people who claim that after performing yoga you get all the sense of relief and strength to listen to others.
Agreed.
So if you perform yoga, you should have the power to listen to criticism also.
No, I will listen to you. I will listen to your criticism till the cows come home, provided your criticism is fact-based. If you put out wrong facts, then I'm sorry, I'm not at liberty to sit here and listen to you and twiddle my thumbs. Sorry, give me some facts, and then I will listen to your criticism.
Because you perform yoga, but you don't have the strength to listen to the adverse opinion.
Dr. Sanjay Jha, have people in India been stopped from offering namaz in their homes? Is that the right statement that anybody should make on the national television prime time show?
That after performing yoga, you lose your...
No, Dr. Jha, should such statements be made? Are they correct? You live in India, I live in India.
Navika, can I make a short observation here?
Yes.
I have read newspaper reports. I can Google it if you like. I've read newspaper reports of, at least in Gurgaon, I remember, and I'm just trying to recollect as I speak, where there were people who wanted to do the namaz and they were prevented from doing so, even in some building societies. That I do remember having read. But I think the larger point that I want to bring
public land, my friend. That was public land.
Fair enough.
Not inside their houses. Here the statement is different. And Ajay Alok wants to come in. Ajay Alok, are facts being twisted here?
Public land? Is yoga not for performing across the cities? Is yoga not performed in the gardens?
It's really amazing how they want to just change the narrative. First, he spoke lies about yoga, that none other than Murli Manohar Joshi said that Prophet used to practice yoga 5 times a day. Yoga came back 10,000 years back, my dear friend. People have been practicing yoga for 10,000 years. First, it was mentioned in Rig Ved, for your knowledge. And if you want to see the elaborate structure of yoga, go and read Bhagavad Gita. That will do some good to you. Second thing, now taking this yoga day to namaz, not allowed to being offered in houses, is nothing but trying to politicize everything. And I'm aghast that Sanjay is also supporting this. Because what happened in Gurgaon, he's a well-read man. He knows that it was a society open place for months now where they wanted to practice namaz. And the Muslims only opposed it here. You can't do it here. What's wrong in that?
Is yoga making people intolerant?
Like that,
is yoga making Modi mugs intolerant?
These guys speaking like this is fine.
Is yoga making Modi mugs intolerant? You know, this is a new level to which you're taking the debate. But Amish Tripathi, renowned author, joining us live on the Newshour tonight. And Amish, I want to ask you, the last decade has seen yoga being transformed into a hugely potent tool for public diplomacy. Just talk us through how yoga that started as a global pitch from India is acting now as a therapeutic formula for the world.
Navika, I'm living in the West right now. I'm living in London. I'm here for a few years. I'll be coming back to India soon. But if you see how the health system works in the West, much of it, Western medicine itself, is very curative. It does address problems well, but only once you already have a problem. It doesn't work at wellness. It doesn't work at preventing the problem. And 95% of health is actually wellness. It's actually preventing that emergency for which you need to go to hospital. You'll find that many of these Western countries spend huge amounts of money on their health systems. The US spends around 11% of its GDP. Of US is over $20 trillion GDP. They spend 11%. The health outcomes are not that good. In the UK, the country I'm in, outside of emergency issues like heart attacks, the NHS leaves a lot to be desired for health problems which are not emergencies. Just a kidney stone removal, for example, can take you many months out here in NHS. What's a patient supposed to do till then? And which is why I think our yoga Ayurveda system can really work well in partnership, not to replace Western medicine, but in partnership with Western medicine to improve health outcomes in the Western world and reduce their costs. And of course, that'll be good for India as well, because we will be exporting our services and medicines, but it'll be very good for the Western world too. If they adopt,
Atikur Rahman, you heard Amish Tripathi there. Amish Tripathi is telling you that yoga has several health benefits. Now, would you want to deny that? Yoga kar lijiye na, itna problem kyun hai yoga se? इंटॉलरेंट क्यों हो रहे हैं?
Very good, very good. Tripathi ji, I just want to ask you one question, which I asked Navika ji and nobody is ready to answer. If it gives that relief and it is good for therapeutic use, the people who perform yoga, they carry on a Dharam Sansad with hate mongering against the minority.
आनंद रंगनाथन, ये मोहब्बत की दुकान एक और खुल गई है.
If they are performing yoga, then they should not hate monger
Navika,
against the minority.
Can I please come in?
Yes,
I sometimes I really, you're a fantastic person. But I sometimes sympathize with you. ये लोग इतना झूठ बोलते हैं आपके शो पे कि 2-3 को तो आप फैक्ट चेक कर लेते हैं, जैसे इनको किया लाइव, लेकिन 6-7 फिसल के निकल जाते हैं. तो एक को मैं पकड़ लूं, ये एसपी के स्पोक्स पर्सन ने जो कहा कि मोदी जी ये योगा प्रमोट कर रहे हैं एंड इंडिया इज द मोस्ट, अकॉर्डिंग टू यूनाइटेड नेशंस, द मोस्ट डेंजरस प्लेस फॉर विमेन. एक तो नंबर 1 आयरॉनिकल दैट अ स्पोक्स पर्सन ऑफ समाजवादी पार्टी सेइंग इट व्हेन द लीडर ऑफ समाजवादी पार्टी हैड सेड ऑन अ रेप चार्ज दैट लड़के हैं, लड़कों से गलती हो जाती है. Whereas what he's quoting is totally fake news. 5-year-old survey that was conducted of 500 people. Please don't interrupt. Please don't interrupt. Please don't interrupt. I know you are rattled. I know you are rattled by the truth. Just be quiet and listen to me. Just stop finger pointing. Point that finger at yourself.
मतलब बीजेपी के स्पोक्सपर्सन बैठे हुए हैं यहाँ पे, आपकी क्या जरूरत है प्राइम मिनिस्टर को डिफेंड करने की?
Allow this nonsense.
यूनाइटेड नेशन से देश हमारा
अमीन जमाई जी, समाजवादी पार्टी का अपना रिकॉर्ड ऑन लॉ एंड ऑर्डर एंड यू नो विमेन सेफ्टी, आप तो ना ही बोले विमेन सेफ्टी पे तो बेहतर रहेगा, थोड़ी इज्जत बच जाएगी.
नरेंद्र मोदी की
नहीं थोड़ी,
बहुत अच्छा है.
1 मिनट.
90 दिया है अखिलेश यादव जी ने. वुमेन
लड़का है, जमाई से गलती हो जाती है, कोई बात नहीं. लेकिन
नरेंद्र मोदी अखिलेश यादव जी की सरकार.
All right, complete your point, Anand Ranganathan. Lowering your fader, Amit Jamai. I have very little time. Anand Ranganathan,
yes, so
make your point.
These people, all they do is to denigrate and abuse Modi. They bring out fake narratives. 5-year-old news, which was a survey of 500 people who were just asked, is India the most dangerous? And they said it is more dangerous than Syria and Saudi Arabia. तो ये घिसे पिटे फेक नैरेटिव्स अभी बंद करो. यू डोंट वांट टू डू योगा, आई कैन एक्सपेक्ट इट. ठीक है, आप वंदे मातरम भी गाने चाहते मत गाओ, लेकिन जो योगा कर रहे हैं, जो प्रमोट कर रहे हैं, उनको आपने घटिया फेक नैरेटिव और फेक न्यूज से दबाओ मत.
अमीर जमाई,
फॉर्मर जनरल बोल रहे हैं सीरिया बना दिया मणिपुर को आपने.
चलो अब मणिपुर आ गया. You know, Suhail said, last word to you. Suhail said, whenever they run out of any arguments, Manipur comes up. You know, Manipur, important to look at that issue, but should that be looked at with the exclusion of what's going on in America? That is the question I want to ask you.
My whole thing is, it's not about this or that. Manipur is a serious issue, and the Prime Minister should and will, I hope, address it with the seriousness it deserves. I just want to take one point from Atik ji, the point that he kept hammering. You know, I'll tell you, I was born and raised in Calcutta. Some of my closest friends to this day are Muslim. हमने कभी ये नहीं सोचा कि वो मुसलमान है कि हिंदू है कि ईद पे जाएं ना जाएं, कुछ नहीं, कभी नहीं, और आज तक नहीं सोचते. तो मेरी सिर्फ यही ख्वाहिश है आपसे कि आप ये जो बोल रहे हैं ना कि घर में नमाज नहीं पढ़ सकते, रास्तों पे नहीं पढ़ सकते, ये थोड़ा गलत है, क्योंकि इससे ये भावना और बढ़ेगी उन लोगों में जो नफरत पैदा करना चाहते हैं. और मैंने पहले भी कहा था जी, और मैं फिर दोहरा रहा हूं कि आप प्यार की दुकान में नफरत वाले सेल्समैन नहीं रख सकते. तो इस देश को अगर आगे बढ़ाना है, जो आप भी चाहते हैं, नहीं एक मिनट मेरी बात सुन लीजिए, जो आप भी चाहते हैं, आज ये दिन भारत का दिन है. ये मुसलमान का दिन नहीं, हिंदू का नहीं, ईसाई का नहीं, ये हर भारतीय के लिए एक गर्व का दिन है. इस दिन पे भी अगर हम इस पे पानी फेरेंगे,
well, let's leave it at that for the moment. The fact is, it is a record that has been made. It is an honor for India to have the International Yoga Day celebrated with 180 nationalities, with the presence of the Prime Minister in New York, and it shows the soft power. It's not just the soft power, but also the tough message to China that is being sent. With all of this happening at the same time, the tough messages, the soft power on display, clearly, can we just stop politicking? There are so many problems, of course, that remain in India. Manipur is one of them, very important, but there are others. But it cannot be a choice between one and the other. And that's where we should look at this issue from. That is the perspective. The perspective is India has arrived on the global stage as a global leader, and that clearly requires Indians to be proud of the moment that we are living in. Thank you very much to my panelists joining me on debate number 1. On the other side, of course, the debate that has been sparked by Elon Musk's statement. Ladies and gentlemen, the question tonight is, even as Twitter boss Elon Musk showered praises on Prime Minister Modi, calling himself a fan of Prime Minister and his work, he schooled former CEO Jack Dorsey after Dorsey had alleged that the social media platform was subject to threats from Modi government during the 2021 farmers' protests. Elon Musk asserted that the best that a company can do is to follow the law of the land, and if it doesn't obey the laws, it is bound to get shut down wherever in the world it does operate. Musk also added that one cannot just apply America to Earth. Listen in to Jack Dorsey's charge and Twitter boss Elon Musk's counter today.
India, for example, India is a country that had many requests of us around the farmers' protest, around particular journalists that were critical of the government, and it manifested in ways such as we will shut Twitter down in India, which is a very large market for us. We will raid the homes of your employees, which they did. We will shut down your offices if you don't follow suit. And this is India, a democratic country.
Twitter doesn't have a choice but to obey local governments. You know, if we don't obey local government laws, then we will get shut down. So the best we can do is really to hew close to the law in any given country. But it is impossible for us to do more than that, or we will be blocked and our people will be arrested. So one cannot just apply, America to Earth, because Earth is not. They have different rules and regulations and different forms of government.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
अमीक जमाई, सवाल पूछना चाहती हूँ. आज एलॉन मस्क ने तो साफ कर दिया कि जिस कंट्री में आप ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं वहाँ के रूल्स, तो पहले जो लिबरल और फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच पर सवालिया निशान लगा रहे थे जैक डॉर्सी को सुनकर, क्या आपको आज जवाब मिल गया है?
नाविका मैम, देखिए, हम दुनिया के सबसे शक्तिशाली लोकतंत्र हैं और एक बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी है. जब एलन मस्क ने तो ये भी कहा ना, उन्होंने कहा कि अगर आप उनको रेगुलेशंस को नहीं मानेंगे तो वो दरवाजा बंद कर देंगे ट्विटर के लिए. और ये भी कहा गया कि किसान मूवमेंट के समय पे सरकार ने कैसे मीडिया को कंट्रोल किया, बीबीसी के दफ्तरों पे पूरे इंडिया में जो उनके ऊपर रेड्स पड़े, ये सब दुनिया में भारत की छवि को, नाविका मैम, कोई इज्जत नहीं दिलाता, हमारी प्रतिष्ठा बढ़ती नहीं है. हमारा यह कहना है कि नरेंद्र मोदी की रिजीम में फ्रीडम प्रेस पे हमला हुआ. इसी यूनाइटेड नेशन ने जहां आज बैठे थे, आप सोचिए कि यूनाइटेड नेशन में जो लोग बैठे थे आज पूरी दुनिया के लोग थे. प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने बोला, मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा कि पूरी दुनिया के हर कास्ट, कलर, क्रीड के लोग यहां पर हैं, लेकिन क्या ऐसे किसी पब्लिक प्लेस पे भारत के अंदर रिलीजियस माइनॉरिटीज को कोई अपने प्रेयर करने का राइट है? 2 मिनट की वो नमाज पढ़ ले. क्रिश्चियन सोसाइटी, क्रिश्चियंस के जब त्योहार होते हैं यहाँ पर, उनके ऊपर हमले होते हैं.
अजय आलोक जी, अमीक जमाई जी बहुत ऑप्रेस्ड हैं, इन्हें फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच नहीं है, लेकिन ये रोज किसी न किसी टीवी चैनल पर जाकर मोदी जी को और मोदी सरकार पर
पार्टी को फर्क पड़ता है,
जिस तरह की टिप्पणी करनी चाहे करते रहते हैं, लेकिन फिर भी इनकी फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच बहुत छिन गई है. कुछ करिए अजय आलोक जी.
इनकी फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच इतनी छिन गई है कि रोज सुबह उठ के और रात में सोते समय, और बहुत लोग तो सपने में भी 24/7 मोदी जी और बीजेपी को गाली ही देते रहते हैं, तब भी इनकी फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच छिन गई. इनके मित्र राकेश टिकैत कहते हैं कि नॉर्थ कोरिया बना हुआ. और ये बात नॉर्थ कोरिया में वो टीवी पे आके कह सकते थे। शोएब जमाई बैठे हुए हैं, इतने अच्छे लग रहे हैं, दिख रहे हैं, इनको नमाज तो पढ़नी नहीं दिया था लखनऊ वगैरह में, बाहर निकल ही नहीं सकते हैं, इनको रहना मुश्किल हो गया है इनका, इनको घर से बाहर निकलने में मनाही है, इतने जुल्म हो रहे हैं, इनको मारा जा रहा है, ये कहां से उठा के ला रहे हैं? और मुझे एक बात नहीं समझ में आ रही है, आज पाकिस्तान के ऑफिशियल प्रवक्ता भी वही लाइन बोल रहे थे जो राहुल गांधी जी अमेरिका में बोल रहे थे कि हिंदुस्तान में अकलियत पर जुल्म हो रहा है, सिख भाइयों को परेशान किया जा रहा है, सिख भाई खालिस्तान बना के रहेंगे। मुझे ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा भैया कि राहुल गांधी और अमेरिका और चीन की भाषा एक जैसी कैसे हो गई। और ये आज एलन मस्क, आप बोल रहे हैं कि एलन मस्क जिसने ये कहा कि इंडिया में किसान मूवमेंट के समय ये सब हो रहा था, वो कौन है आपको पता है? जैक डॉर्सी जिसपे 2020 से ट्विटर ने आरोप लगा के इसी एलन मस्क ने उसे सीईओ के पद से हटाया था, क्योंकि जैक डॉर्सी न सिर्फ इंडिया का बल्कि अमेरिकन कानून का भी उल्लंघन कर रहा था। उस अमेरिका में उस पर इंक्वायरी और इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रही। उस जैक डॉर्सी आपके लिए भगवान हो गया जैसे बीबीसी आपके लिए भगवान था। क्या नैरेटिव है साहब?
Sanjay Jha, today Jack Dorsey got a response from Elon Musk, लेकिन चोट लगी है कांग्रेस को।
Navika, I just love the way BJP spreads fake news on national television. Ajay Alok, my dear friend, you should know this much basic fact, yaar. Jack Dorsey sold the company to Elon Musk. ये क्या हटाया फटाया? What nonsense you are talking? Anyway, let me carry on. You know, Navika, we discussed soft power. Let me give you 2 examples of how Mr. Modi has shamed India's soft power abroad. The biggest exporter of soft power, in my opinion, has been Bollywood and cricket. Let's take both these examples. You had the 1983 World Cup winning cricket team having to say publicly that the government of India must do something. Can I speak without your interruption, Ajay? Please do not interrupt. The 1983 World Cup winning team. Navika is very nervous. This is standard BJP trick to interrupt. Ajay Alok,
please listen to me.
Silent.
The debate on soft power. The debate on soft power was the previous debate, Dr. Sanjay Jha. Right now we are debating Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey's statement. You know, I'm just giving you a reminder on the topic of the debate, in case you forgot.
What did Elon Musk say? He said that the space for freedom of speech in this country is actually very limited. And he talked about it very publicly, exactly what Jack Dorsey said.
Tell me, okay, I want to ask you, Dr. Sanjay Jha, you know, this is the moment I think I was waiting for. I want to ask you, how much of space did you have in the Congress party for the freedom of speech that you expressed in a newspaper article, after which you were suspended? How many years ago? How many years?
Let me answer that. I will answer that for you, but before
you're complaining about freedom of speech being curtailed by Prime Minister Modi.
Yes, I am. I'll give you 2 very big examples. The 1983 World Cup winning team has to tell the government, please do something to stop the humiliation of the women champion wrestlers of India. That's the soft part of cricket, humiliated at home. Well, Shah Rukh Khan, who took Bollywood to the Indian diaspora, we all saw how his son was harassed in this country. So Mr. Modi's government has no...
And the corrective action you're not watching. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, Dr. Sanjay Jha was free to speak in the Congress party, got suspended, and today is lamenting lack of freedom of speech.
That's comparing apples and oranges.
Irony just jumped out of the window. No, but Navika, there are 3 points, and I really don't want your viewers to miss them. Number 1. The point of the matter is that, yes, there is very little space for true freedom of speech and expression in this country, but it is exactly the same as it was under the Congress and under Jawaharlal Nehru. In fact, since we became a republic. So nothing has changed. So yes, I criticize this government and its handling of freedom of speech, but it is the same all through our independence. Number 2, I really object to, I think maybe Elon Musk is uninformed or he's being plain patronizing when he says we cannot apply American rules here, but he should know America has censored, banned more people than India has when it comes to Twitter and social media platforms. What is he talking about? And thirdly, he doesn't have an idea of what freedom of speech and absolutism on freedom of speech actually means. He capitulated to Turkey because they asked few handles to be banned, saying that by doing so, I'm allowing a lot of Turks to, freely tweet. Is that his standard? Tomorrow, how many? If 20,000 are to be blocked, he will still say block them, or 2,000, or 2 million. Or if a government says block Elon Musk, Twitter will say, all right, let's block Elon Musk because for the greater good. These people don't know what true freedom of speech means.
Well, true freedom of speech or not, the fact is that those who sit here and speak, those who do not have freedom to speak in their own parties, actually pointing a finger at the Modi Sarkar. The question is, should you actually look within before you begin to actually condemn outside? That's the question, and that's really a home truth that many people should look in the eye. We leave it at that for now. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the News Hour, as I thank all my panelists as well. Good night, be safe.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back.